All right, third graders, I'm back. My camera froze, so I was recording, but nothing was happening on the screen. So we had a nice little pause there in between part 1 and part 2. We are now on the back on page 338, and we're going to use the number lines from the opposite page that we just worked on to write equivalence chains for these fractions. So we're going to write them for 1/2, 1/3, right, whatever it tells us here. Now, we could also use our fraction strips that we made. So when you're doing your homework, you'll be able to use those. You can also refer back to the previous page and use the number lines as well there. Okay, so let's think. We're going to write an equivalence chain with fractions that are the same or equal to 1/2. So if I go back and I look at all of the fractions that are equivalent to 1/2, that means they take up the same amount of space, right? So this is right in the middle, and I'm going to look down to see what other fractions are at that same point on the number line. Okay, if I look, I can see, well, here's 2/4, here's 3/6, here's 4/8. They're all the same point on the number line, so they're equal, right? So if I look at that, kind of try to divide my line equally like that, all of those fractions take up the same amount of space. So we're going to flip back and we're going to write on this top line, 1/2 is equal to 2/4. It's also equal to 3/6, and it's also equal to 4/8. And if I used my fraction strips and lined those up, the one that's in halves, fourths, 6, and 8, it would be the same thing, right? I would be able to prove it using my fraction strips. So you can really use those when you're solving number line problems as well, okay? How about fractions that are equal to 1/3? Okay, you can leave your page here, but just look at mine as I flip it back. Put my sticky note out there. 1/3. So I'm going to look on my number line. I'm going to find 1/3. There it is. And I'm going to see what fractions are the same. What takes up the same amount of a number line? The only one I see is 2/6, right? These are different at different places on the number line. They're really close, but they're different. So that's why it's so important to be very accurate. So if I look, I would say 1/3 is equivalent to 2/6. So I'm going to write that. 1/3 is equivalent to 2/6. Okay, they take up the same amount of space. Now look at this fraction. It doesn't have a 1 on the top, so it's not a unit fraction. Now we're looking at 2/3. So we've got to find 2/3 on our thirds number line. Okay, leave your page. I will flip mine so that you can see. I'm going to find 2/3. Here it is right here. Okay, and I want to look and see which ones are on the same point on my number line. Okay, if I kind of draw my eye down, you can see that my 4/6 is at the same point on my number line. So 2/3 is equivalent or equal to 4/6. Let's look and see if that works with our fraction strips. Let's do 2/3. Okay, here are my thirds, and I just folded over so that I had 2 of them. And now I'm going to find my 6. Here's my fraction strips, and I'm going to fold over until I get 6 or 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. Fold that over. Is that the same amount of a whole? It sure looks like it is. Those are equivalent fractions. Okay, so 2/3 is the same as 4/6. So let's write that equivalence chain. I know I'm going back and forth here. 2/3 is equivalent to 4/6. Okay. Now we're going to look at 1/4. What would be the same as 1/4? Okay. Let me look using my fraction strips. Here's 1/4 right here. Here's one piece, right? Let's see what else. Is 1/2 the same? No. Right? We're just looking for one little piece like this. 1/2 is not. that's way too big. How about anything here? Nope, that doesn't fit. Nothing there. Oh, look at that. 1/4 is the same as 2/8. Right? You can see that right there. If I were to put this right on top, it would take up the same amount on that number line or on this fraction strip. So 1/4 is the same or equal to 2/8. Okay, here's one that says 3/4. So instead of one unit fraction, I'm going to have three of them. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to fold that last one over so that it disappears. So there's 3/4. And remember, I can flip back and I can use the number line on the previous page, but I can also use these. So let's see. Do any of my halves equal 3/4? Nope. How about my thirds? Well, that's pretty close, right? But it's a little too short, so that doesn't work. How about my 6? Same thing, it kind of ends up in the middle, so that doesn't work. How about my 8s? Oh, look at that. If I fold my fraction strip, make them the same length, I have 3/4. How many eighths do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6/8 is equivalent. So 3/4 is equivalent to 6/8. That's our proof right there. Okay, and we could have done it on our number line on the previous page. Now look at the last one. Fractions that equal 8/8. Well, what do you know about numbers that are the same in a fraction? It's one whole, isn't it? So all of our fractions are going to be the same. 2 halves, 3/3, 4/4, 6/6, and 8/8. We could keep going, right? We could even say 50 50ths, right? As long as the number on the top and the bottom are the same, that's one whole. Okay, so this would mean our fraction strip or our number line is in 50 little pieces. Okay, that's a lot of tiny little pieces, but it would take up the same amount because we're just talking about one whole. All right, so make sure you keep your fraction strips in a safe place, right? Keep them nice and stacked up. I like to keep mine all unfolded so that they're nice and flat. And I like to put them right in the crease of my book. Okay, so I can put them right here and I'm ready to use them the next time. Tomorrow or Tuesday or Thursday, we're going to work on solving fraction problems. So using word problems with fractions and talking about equal fractions. All right, so keep them tucked away so that you don't lose them.